Almost 1 million women in the UK have missed vital breast screening due to coronavirus, a leading charity has estimated. Breast Cancer Now estimates that around 8,600 women who have not had a scan have undetected breast cancer. Breast screening programmes were paused in March as the NHS focused resources on tackling the pandemic. The scanning programme is now running again. However, social distancing measures have significantly reduced capacity. Let's speak to Kate Brodie. Had her mammogram cancelled due to lockdown, during lockdown, and later diagnosed with breast cancer. Kate, good afternoon to you.
Hello.
Nice to have you with us. You're also a GP as well, I understand.
Well, I was until cancer struck, yes.
Okay, so you are a professional clinician. I mean, my point being that I guess if anyone was going to perhaps understand more about both sides of an argument, perhaps it would be you, although I'm tempted to caveat that with little consolation when you have a diagnosis.
True, and I was in denial because I was busy reorganising the surgery for safe practice during COVID and far too busy to think about my own health. But I realised I had a breast lump and eventually decided I ought to get it checked out. I didn't think it was anything to worry about, but I messaged my own GP, and within 10 days I was in the clinic having biopsies and reaching a diagnosis. So I was very fortunate that I found the lump. Otherwise I still wouldn't know I had cancer.
But did it mean that there was any pause in your treatment as a result of what happened? Because what was the next step? Did you need surgery? Did you have other forms of non-surgical treatment?
I've started on a pentathlon, which starts with chemotherapy. So within 3 weeks of the diagnosis, I had my first round of chemotherapy. I've had 4 rounds now, and I've got 2 left, and then they'll be considering what operation to do. Mm-hmm. After surgery, I've got radiotherapy, then I've got hormone blockers and Herceptin injections for the rest of next year, I think. Yeah. So it's a long old haul. But I don't think, apart from the delay between the missed mammogram and me doing something about the lump, which was about 3 months, as soon as I found the lump, everything rolled out really fast. I've had excellent treatment with the best. I mean, you can't believe it. They moved the oncology unit to within a mile from my house because of COVID. So They put it into the local community hospital to keep the patients safe.
I thought you were going to say because of you for a second. That would have been an extraordinary move from the NHS.
But no, so I only had to go a mile from home to get my chemotherapy, which was astonishing. And I thought, it is. Absolutely astounding.
But of course, as you know well, Kate, not everybody has experienced that sort of fluency of treatment, and I suppose if you were caught just before the lockdown, then perhaps treatment carries on. But it's those people that were just about to start exploring what was going on that perhaps got that fallen through the cracks here.
Yes, and some people who were due to have operations were put on hormone blockers and postponed their operations because they weren't quite sure whether it was safe to proceed. And I think that my daughter works in oncology in Wales, and she wanted me to raise the fact that the cancer community and the government are very well aware of the delays and very worried about them and doing everything they can to catch up. And so, those people that were delayed, they're doing everything they can to speed things up.
There doesn't seem to be a friend of mine who was recently diagnosed with testicular cancer, got his operation. That was more towards the end of the lockdown, but he was fearing that might not happen, but it did go well. But then, for every kind of positive case, if that is the right word in this context, there are so many. We mentioned 8,600 women who've not had a scan. I mean, this is extraordinary. Why do you think a scanning unit would need to close at a time like this? What would be the rationale as far as you can see?
I think when lockdown started, it was totally unknown territory for everybody, for the hospital, for the doctors, for the managers. And they were trying to find a safe way to deliver services. And I guess they thought that mammograms weren't life and death at that point. And they're not if you just postponed it by a couple of weeks. But none of us really knew it was going to go on this long, did we?
Sure. So
running again.
Yeah,
I know.
It is that word unprecedented, which we've all used more times in the last few months than we have in our entire lifetimes. It is precisely that, isn't it? There was no template, there was no rule book for this, and I suppose lots of areas got caught out. And of course, it forces that question. I don't expect you to give a professional answer from a clinical point of view on this, Kate, but the question: what's more dangerous, the virus or the effects of the lockdown? It's a very persuasive argument when I speak to people like you, that the effects of the lockdown seem to be almost more devastating than the virus.
Yes, and certainly in our practice, it went very, very quiet. We weren't seeing the patients we would normally see with chest pain and with symptoms that might need urgent investigation, and with strokes and with, transient ischemic attacks, the normal bread and butter of general practice. It all vanished. Nobody came near us for days. And GPs really want patients to call them, to message them, to use the virtual system so they can help look after them. And the patients are too frightened to come near the GPs, I think.
Yeah, I think there's something in that. And just a final point on this, Kate. I mean, anybody that, does find a lump, in fact, I say lump, in my mother's case, it wasn't a lump, it was a kind of crater, but any sort of change to your breast, or for men,
Absolutely.
it should be, don't think you can't get it investigated, because you should still try to do that.
So they're ready and waiting.
And that's good to hear. And how are you doing, Kate, yourself? You look and sound in good spirits, but I know from this being in my own family, it's not easy.
I had my last dose of chemotherapy on Wednesday last week, so it's day 8 now, and it's been a tough old few days. But I think by day 10, I'm generally coming out of it again. It's a bit of a roller coaster. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down.
Yeah.
So, I'm all right. I'm
Good.
surviving.
We will, Kate, good luck with everything. We will speak again, I hope. Thank you, Kate Brodie,